Hello everybody. This is Eric from Coding Pals, maybe an unfamiliar voice, but this is my first video. And today we're going to be looking at not a solution in Python, but we're going to be looking at a solution in Java. We're going to be sticking to our little theme of the Canadian Computing Competition though, Junior Division questions. And today we're going to be doing 2015 question J1, which is called Special Day. So, I'll read the description, specifications, and sample inputs and outputs, and then we'll get right to it. So February 18th is a special day for the CCC this year. The question asks us to write a program that asks a user for a numerical month and a numerical day of the month, and then determine whether that date occurs before, after, or on February 18th. If the date occurs before February 18th, we're going to output before. If it occurs after February 18th, we're going to output after. If it occurs on if the date is in fact February 18th, we're going to output special. As for our input specification, the input is going to consist of two integers each on a separate line, representing dates in 2015. The first line is going to contain the month, which is going to be an integer in the range from 1 January to 12 December. The second line is going to contain the day of the month, which is going to be an integer in the range of 1 to 31. Although we know that February is shorter in terms of days and some other months have 30 to 31 days, they make things easier for us by telling us that we can assume that the day of the month will be valid for the given month. In terms of output and input specs, exactly one of the four after and special is going to be printed on one line. So for sample input number 1, which is 1, 7, we know that our first line contains the month, and our first month in the year is January, and our second line contains a day, which means we're talking about January 7th, which is before February 18th, so we're going to print before. As for our sample input number 2, 8/31, we know that we're talking about the 31st day of the 8th month, which is August 31st, so we'll output after. And for our sample input number 3, which is 2 and 18, we know that we're talking about February 18th, which is our special day, so we're going to be outputting special. Let's get into the code. I'm going to open up JGrasp here, and you see I've already written 3 things. I've imported our scanner, which is an essential part of kind of your code being able to take inputs. And I've named our class special day, and I've written our main method. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in our scanner here. I'm going to say scanner SD, we'll say it for special day, equals new scanner. And now we're going to work on our month and day inputs. So we know that month is in a first line, so integer month is going to equal sd.nextInt, allowing our compiler to recognize that we are going to be inputting an integer. Our next one is day input. So integer day is going to be equal to sd.nextInt again. And now we'll hop into the code. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to move from before to after to special. So if our integer month input, month, is smaller than 2, which means that because we go from 1 to 12, it can only be 1. So if our month is January, regardless, it doesn't matter which day in January. But if it's in January, it's obviously before February 18th, so we know that it's going to be before. So if month, this is essentially saying if the month is January. So if the month is January, or if the month, or if the month is equal to 2, which means we're talking about February, and the day is smaller than 18, so we could be talking about February 16th, 15th, 14th, 3rd, anything before February 18th, we're going to system out before. Now, if this isn't true for whatever we input, we're going to write an else if statement. Else if month is greater than 2. So this means if it's March to December, 3 to 12, we know that our biggest number can only be 12 in terms of month. Else if our month is after February, greater than 2, so 3 to 12, or our month is equal to 2, and our day is greater than 18, which means that this could be February 19th, 20th, 21st, then we're going to be printing out after. I'll put these in so it's kind of easier for us to understand. Now for our final line, I'm just going to write this. Yeah, so I'll give you maybe 10 seconds and see if you can figure out on your own why I didn't need to include an if statement for this one. So I didn't need to include an if statement because this means if it's in January or before January 18th, and this is any day before February 18th, or any day after February 18th. We know that if our first if statement is unsuccessful, we'll go to our else if statement. And if our else if statement is unsuccessful, what does that mean? It's going to mean that our date is February 18th, as all 364 days are covered by our previous two statements. So if these two are all untrue, then our only possible scenario is that the day is, in fact, February 18th. So I am going to finish off the curly braces for our program, and I'm going to run it. We'll see how it goes, and we'll put in sample inputs so I can show you how this works. Oh. Made a couple of mistakes. Yeah, so yes, one of the things that we have to remember is to put in these extra brackets. We know that we have one bracket here, one opening bracket here, and another opening bracket here, so we have to make sure to compensate for that. It's obviously something to keep an eye out for. If you run it, if you start coding more problems, you'll kind of run into this more and more and more, and it's just always good to keep an eye out for that. So please don't do what I just did. Just make sure to keep an eye out for it. Yeah. So now we're going to run it again. And oh, I did not capitalize scanner. Another unfortunate mistake that I shouldn't be making. And we're going to run it one more time. Okay, so now it works, and it is suitable for kind of input. So our first value we'll put in is just random. We'll put in 1 and 5. So January 5th. January 5th is before, where we've returned before. Now we're going, let's input April Fool's Day. 4, 1. April 1st. Oh, I have to run it again. 4, 1. 4 and 1, April 1st is after. And now let's try our little special day. February 18th. So 2, 18. That is our special day. And just to make sure, why not try a couple more dates? Let's try May 5th. Oh, I have to run it again, I think. May 5th. Oh. I can't remember if I ran it or not. I did not, so I'm gonna have to run it again. 5 is May 5th is after February 5th, 18th, and let's try one more. Gonna have to run it again here. February 17th is before. So yeah, this is our little solution that we came up with for CCC 2015 question J1 in Java. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.